In a new interview with the British right-wing news channel GB News, President Trump said, quote, "I've never had a drink in my life and I don't take drugs. Maybe one of the best endorsements I've ever heard for drinking and doing drugs."
Yes, the Democrat Party. And then what do they? They took the mob outside to loot the CVS and firebomb a Jewish business because they do drink and do drugs. Well, an excellent hump day to you all. It is Wednesday here in America, but not in Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan, it's a different thing altogether. Quite a melee going on there because of the Islamism and the radical mayor and the population there. And a couple of locals have become somewhat irritable. What do you mean burn a Koran? You can't burn a Koran. You can burn a Bible. You can burn an American flag. But if you're going to burn a Koran in America, well, there's a violent price to pay for that, at least in Dearborn, Michigan. And the Democrats just elected a jihadi to become mayor of New York, our most populous city. So let's keep that in mind. Once again, a very busy news day on planet Earth. And in the United States of America, locally, I think, locally, it's the United States, it's a big country, but it's still it's all local news to us because we cover the waterfront. We cover it all. And there's a lot of news having to do with Jeffrey Epstein, a lifelong Democrat, a Democrat Party donor and fundraiser, a guy that they brought in to help out Hakeem Jeffries when he was, the Democrats did, to help the Democrats with Jeffrey Epstein, the child rapist, and very, very wealthy man, very wealthy. I don't, if I had known how people got that wealthy, maybe I wouldn't be doing radio today, but some people know how to get really wealthy. I'm not one of them, apparently. Jeffrey Epstein was invited to Democrat fundraising dinner and a get-to-know-you session with Hakeem Jeffries, which was set up by a Democrat firm because he was told, that Jeffrey Epstein was told, you got to come meet he's Brooklyn's Barack Hussein Obama, and they've been in bed together forever, honestly. And who do you think is behind all this? Don't be ridiculous. And you got this crazy left-wing Democrat, a non-voting delegate in the House of Representatives from the U.S. Virgin Islands, ironically, where Jeffrey Epstein had his island, his private island. And the Democrat representative there, Plaskett, Stacey Plaskett, she's a very corrupt person, and she is completely in bed with Jeffrey Epstein, not literally, of course, just politically and metaphorically. But Plaskett met privately with Jeffrey Epstein at his New York apartment, not to be confused with his New York townhouse, I assume, worth tens and tens of millions of dollars, to solicit campaign donations after he was already a convicted sex offender. He was already convicted, and the Democrats, hey, and then I didn't even ask you for this, Michael. At least today I didn't. But the dim-witted Democrat from Maryland, a Democrat congressman there, Jamie Raskin, he said, well, of course, Stacey Plaskett is helping out her pal Jeffrey Epstein. He's a constituent. She said he's a constituent because he owns Pedophile Island in the American Virgin Islands. Therefore, he's a constituent. He's not there full time. He doesn't vote there. He doesn't have local voting rights, but he owned. He's dead now. And because, the Democrats, once you're dead, then you're dead. You commit suicide in your jail cell because the Democrats decided your time was up. But isn't that amazing? And Stacey Plaskett sitting in a congressional hearing, getting her texts from Jeffrey Epstein, from his private phone to her private phone, and Jeffrey Epstein sending Democrat delegate Stacey Plaskett talking points, which she used in the hearing, and questions that she used in the hearing because she's being fed her talking points directly by her pal and donor, Jeffrey Epstein. And the American news media doesn't see a blind eye to all the Democrat involvement with Jeffrey Epstein because that's what they do. That's what the news media does. That's why it's good to be a Democrat. It's not good to be a Democrat for any legitimate reason, but when you're a criminal and a creep and all your friends are criminals and creeps, the news media smooths it over for you. They just never talk about it. It's an amazing media universe that we are living in. So we've got updates on that. And again, this is kind of a big deal. The House of Representatives and the Senate yesterday voted to release the Jeffrey Epstein documents at long last. Why they had to have a vote in Congress on it, I'm not sure, but that's okay. They went ahead and everybody in the House of Representatives, except for one Republican member of the House from Louisiana, everybody else voted yes. Let's release. It's called. It's a ridiculous name. The Epstein Files Transparency Act. I think it might be a little late for transparency. But never mind that. Here we are years and years later. The Biden administration, or the Democrats, sat on the documents for the 4 years of the Biden administration. They had them during the Obama administration. They knew that it's overwhelmingly about Democrats, and then they pretended that they could hang it all on Donald Trump, and suddenly they're out there, firebombing things and banging their drums, and they want the Epstein documents released. And now we're finding out that the list goes on and on. Hakeem Jeffries in bed, the leading Democrat in the House of Representatives. He'd be the Speaker of the House if the Democrats had their way, if they took control of the House. That commie, pinko, radical extremist, Hakeem Jeffries, who was very much in bed, once again politically and metaphorically, but not physically and literally, with Jeffrey Epstein, the creepy. What did President Trump call him? A pedophile and a creep. I think pedophile and a creep. I think that's it, and that sums it up pretty succinctly. But now the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed the House with everybody voting for. I was quite surprised the Democrats didn't try to sabotage it. And then it moved over to the Senate, where 100% of the Senate, that is to say 100 senators, they all voted to make public the so-called Epstein files. So we've got that going. Now, here's the thing on this. It may take 30 days. In the language of the bill, they gave themselves 30 days for the Justice Department to release the documents, not the Congress, and that they're going to take the time to redact. There will be redactions. That is, lines will be blacked out with magic markers because of names and unproven accusations. And among the reasons, I covered this for you yesterday when the Speaker of the House held a press conference and he listed 5 key things that he's concerned about making the documents public, exposing women that were victims of the child sex ring of the Democrat Party, and that is the Jeffrey Epstein child sex ring. And you got Democrats falling through the ceiling tiles all over the place, from Bill Clinton's Secretary of the Treasury, right, Larry Summers, who then went on to become the president of Harvard University, and then he was in the Obama administration as a senior official there. And he's got Jeffrey Epstein stink all over him, and he's going to cut out his public appearances or something like that. But he's going to keep teaching at Harvard for another $900,000 a year. It's probably just one class, but pay no attention to that. It's a Democrat Party racket, and that's what they do. Also, we've got this wackiness going on in Dearborn, Michigan, and I want to share this with you. The radical mayor threatening a tax-paying citizen there in a city council meeting recently, telling him to get out of here and get out of Dearborn, Michigan, an American citizen, a taxpayer. And this radical jihadi Muslim Democrat mayor in Dearborn, Michigan, threatening a citizen. And then a local man went in there who is against Islamization and went into a city council meeting, and that got ugly fast. And when he left the city council meeting, it got even uglier outside with violence and mayhem. Now, the man said he was going to burn a Koran, which you can't do because, Islam and AK-47s and things like that, suicide vests. But in the United States, of course, you can burn the American flag, and that's protected by the Supreme Court. You can, and Democrats do it frequently. You can burn the Bible, the Bible, and Democrats do that from time to time. And that's perfectly legal and protected by law in the United States. But if you want to burn a Koran, well, you might be murdered, at least in Dearborn, Michigan. So it got violent there and got crazy, and there was cursing. But we're cleaning it up for you. We're cleaning up the cursing for you because this is a family-friendly show. We got that. Also, did you see the Democrats in Congress launching an insurrection. Now, the elected Democrats in Congress, not protesters outside, but Slotkin, Democrat Lissa Slotkin, and a bunch of Democrats posted a video like, I used to work for the CIA, and I'm an insurrectionist. I was in the Navy just for the buggery, and I want to see an insurrection in the United States. And they're telling American troops to disobey orders, which is revolutionary war, civil war. It is, and the Democrats, a long list of Democrats, posted themselves, identifying themselves on video, calling for our troops to disobey Trump because they are the third world. The Democrat Party is the third world, and they live among us. They're not on the side of Western civilization. They're not on the side of the United States. They're not on the side of law. They're in fact, the more you break the law, the more the Democrats are likely to, shack up with you, because that's who they are. Slotkin, Democrat Slotkin, leads Dems urging troops to disobey Trump. Newsmax TV with the story. What, to disobey Trump? That's right. Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat, Michigan, the home of Dearborn, where you got all this radical Islamist stuff going on, posted a video to social media Tuesday urging members of the U.S. military and intelligence community to stand up to the Trump administration and reject what Slotkin says and other Democrat lawmakers say is they're illegal orders. They're not illegal orders, but these people are, what they're doing is illegal, and they should probably be arrested today. We should send troops into the Capitol to arrest them, because that'd be funnier, don't you think? And they posted a video which they called Don't Give Up the Ship. Don't Give Up the Ship. And said, features 6 Democrats who previously served in the military or in the intelligence services. And Slotkin, a former CIA officer, appeared alongside Mark Kelly, who's become not a good guy at all, and Congressman Chris DeLuzio and Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire, Jason Crow of Colorado, all these Democrats, and they post themselves in video staging an insurrection. It is trying to orchestrate an insurrection of our troops rising up against the commander-in-chief and the government. This is the stuff of banana republics. This is the third world. Soon people will be hanging upside down under bridges because the Democrat Party is out of its mind. And wait, I've got that audio for you. It's video, but I'm on radio, so I'll share the audio portion with you. It's called Don't Give Up the Ship, going back to the War of 1812. Yeah, so Democrats urge troops to defy unlawful orders, and then they'll decide what's unlawful, and that's anything that Trump says. These people are starting a civil war, an insurrection, a revolution in the United States of America. And if you say revolution, they'll smile and cheer that. They will. We got lots of other stuff going on, too. Chicago, where Democrats rule the roost. Completely crazy stuff. Did you see the gang of 10-year-old kids that beat a pregnant woman on the street nearly to death? Pregnant woman. And they're 10-year-old kids because they're growing up in Democrat Party households. That's good. And also a Democrat set a woman on fire on a Chicago Transit Authority train, subway train in Chicago. Set her on fire, which happens in New York a lot, but I'm not sure it happens in Chicago very frequently. And we've got Nigeria, the attacks on Christians. We got madness. And airlines in the United States. This is a great one. I love this story. Airlines claim that passengers who pay extra for window seats are not actually entitled to a window. Now, here's the thing. You paid for the seat next to the skin of the airplane. But if the window's blocked off and there's no window there, it's like, hey, it's a window seat. We didn't say there'd be a window in your window seat, because they just want to make air travel better and better, don't they? I'm somewhere behind the curtain here. There are Democrats. I can smell it from here. And it's, what is it, Michael? It's Wednesday. That means it's Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plant Show. And I have one. I only have one so far. And somebody actually mailed in by way of the U.S. mail. I've got it right here. But today is Mailbag Day as well. And we are at 888-630-9625. That's right, a bunch of Democrats in Congress who served in the U.S. military, putting together a video calling for insurrection in the United States of America, a revolutionary war against the government because they didn't vote for Trump and they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. And I'm going to play that video for you coming up shortly, and it's Mailbag Day today. But right now, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to James, calling from the great state of Arkansas. James, you are on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
By the way, love your show. Listen all the time. I'm a little annoyed by this whole thing because, these prior military people that raised their hand, just like I did, and swore to defend the Constitution and the United States of America, and here they are saying, no, you just ignore Donald Trump and all these orders. And they impeached Trump for just calling Ukraine and saying, hey, I'd like to ask about Joe Biden and his son, some of the things they did. They impeached him for that. And these people are saying just ignore your military leaders and do what you want to do. They should be locked up.
Yeah. I've got to say what they're doing is it's not. I'm not aware that we've seen anything like this in modern American history where senators and members of the House who had served to varying degrees in the military or working for the CIA and coming out, and it's Trump derangement syndrome up the yin-yang, James, and what they're calling for is it may not technically be illegal, but they are inciting violence and insurrection and possible, revolution and civil war in the United States, right?
Absolutely, they are, and anybody that had, if Kelly's getting anything from the military for his service, they should strip him of anything he gets. They should yank them all back to active duty, which they can do if they wanted to.
Yeah,
yank them back to active duty, court-martial them, strip them of any rank, any retirement, any benefits, and maybe even court-martial them.
Well, I know that you're not alone in this, and I have, in fact, a friend, a career military officer, texting me this morning about this very topic, and Mark Kelly, a now former retired Navy captain who went to Nassau, and he's got an interesting background. But I'm going to play this for you, James, coming right up, because what the Democrats are doing is more and more 1861. It's like tonight we're going to party like it's 1861. The Democrats firing on Fort Sumter and starting their first Civil War because they wanted to keep their slaves. Now they really want to keep their illegal aliens. See any parallels there? All right. We've got jihad insurrection going on in Michigan and Dearborn, and an American showed up to stand up for Western values in a somewhat provocative way, perhaps, which you're allowed to do, and turned into a melee. But let's start with the Democrats in Washington, because so many Democrats in Washington have signed up for an insurrection. They're calling for an insurrection. And here is the story by Newsmax on Al Gore's amazing internet. Slotkin leads Dems urging troops to disobey Trump. Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat, Michigan, posted a video to social media Tuesday urging members of the U.S. military and intelligence community to, quote, stand up, end quote, to the Trump administration and reject what she, Slotkin, and other Democrat lawmakers, all elected national officials, called, quote, illegal orders, end quote. Now, they're talking about illegal aliens running roughshod across America, gangs from Venezuela and El Salvador and elsewhere, and all the illegal aliens, how many? 12 million, who knows how many millions and millions of illegal aliens, how many of them are fleeing the crimes they've committed in their own hellhole countries that, well, they came to America for freedom. Yeah, the freedom to murder you and steal everything you have in a lot of cases. And if you want to come to the United States legally, by all means, we're a nation of immigrants. just do it legally, or GFY. That's an abbreviation. So here's the video titled "Don't Give Up the Ship." Don't give up the ship. Features 6 Democrats who previously served in the military or intelligence services. Slotkin, a former CIA officer, appeared alongside Senator Mark Kelly, the Democrat from Arizona, whose wife was shot in the head by a lunatic. Representatives from the House of Representatives, Chris Deluzio. That's Italian for the loser. Deluzio. See, it's a nice old Italian name. Biggest loser in all of Sicily. And Chrissy Houlihan, Irish, they drink, of Pennsylvania. Maggie Goodlander, the Democrat of New Hampshire. Jason Crow, a Democrat of Colorado. And I want to play this for you now. In her post, Slotkin on X, which we used to call Twitter. Slotkin said the group wanted to speak directly to service members, claiming that the American people need you to stand up for our laws and our Constitution. Well, that's what they're doing, you dimwit. Kelly, a former Navy pilot, a disgrace to all former Navy pilots, accused the Trump administration of putting our uniformed military and intelligence community professionals against American citizens, pitting them, and pitting our military against American citizens. No, they're illegal aliens, you buffoon. But let me play the audio of this Senator Alyssa Slotkin, and you got this Mark Kelly, who I actually had plenty of hope for him early on as a Democrat and a senator, but a former Navy pilot and a NASA guy, and I figured he'd be a good guy, but he hasn't been. He hasn't been a good guy at all. Here is the video that the lunatics have posted. It's 1 minute and 23 seconds long. I just wanted to warn you.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Yes,
Senator
you are.
Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris Deluzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
The loser.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens.
No, it's
like
not.
Us.
That's a lie.
You all swore an oath.
Big lie.
And defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home.
Pro
Our laws are
crime.
clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can
That's
refuse
true.
illegal
They know
orders.
that.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
That's
We
true.
know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
your vigilance is critical
and know that we have your back.
because now, more
No, you
than
don't.
ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are
To
as
rebel,
Americans.
to revolt.
Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
That's the ship. No, she said the ship. Got to enunciate that very clearly and articulately. And that's their video. It seemed longer than 1 minute and 23 seconds, but aren't they amazing? Don't give up the ship. And they're calling on our uniformed military to disobey President Trump's orders, which is an illegal effort at an insurrection by these Democrat members of Congress who perhaps should be rounded up by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Maybe the U.S. military should be sent up to Capitol Hill to arrest these people today. That'd be fun. And then they could obey those orders, and it'd be hilarious to take Mark Kelly away. He could cry and sob and all that good stuff. Aren't they amazing? Don't give up the ship. Now, I had to refresh my memory today, I'll confess. The expression, don't give up the ship, right, goes back to the War of 1812, a rallying cry reportedly uttered by the dying command of the American naval officer James Lawrence as his ship, the USS Chesapeake, was being overtaken by the British. You know how they are, limeys. What's the matter with those people? And he told his crew, don't give up the ship. Unfortunately for the Democrats in this case, the ship was actually lost. But Lawrence's words lived on. Don't give up the ship. The ship was lost, and it's a bad thing. I think the Democrats' ship may be lost, too, because they're a bunch of commie, pinko, slimy anti-American trying to launch an insurrection. There's a pill for that now. The insurrection that the Democrats are launching this time around, and they haven't gotten completely violent yet, but never mind that. Stephen Miller at the Trump White House, the deputy chief of staff, sent out a tweet on X. He said, Democrat lawmakers are now openly calling for insurrection. Democrat lawmakers are now openly calling for insurrection. Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House, someone very close to President Trump, pointing out, and I'm not going to say claiming, pointing out that elected Democrat lawmakers in the Senate and the House of Representatives are openly calling for insurrection against the federal government. And they're therefore, treasonous, traitorous, calamitous. I just want OUS words. I want to use OUS words. Calamitous gang of, they're leftists. They're terrorists. And, we were talking about this morning, and Michael Piercy reminded me that it was not too long ago that the Democrats in Hollywood, you know how they can be, those Democrats in Hollywood, in 2016, led by Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen's an actor, and disgracefully, he's half Irish and half Basque, like me, but I'm a lot smarter than he is. Martin Sheen, he was on a TV show. Martin Sheen put together a video with Hollywood people, Deborah Messing and James Cromwell and Moby. What is the word Moby always followed by? Never mind. And so we got that going. Deborah Messing and Martin Sheen. And they put together a video calling on electors. 2016, President Trump had won the election over Hillary, Diane Rodham Clinton. And so these celebrities got together and posted a video, kind of like the Democrats did yesterday, on calling for revolution and insurrection and civil war. And Martin Sheen and a bunch of dim-witted people that play dress-up and make-believe for a living, they called on the Electoral College to not elect Donald Trump as president, not confirm him as president of the United States.
Republican members of the Electoral College, this message is for you.
Martin Sheen.
As you know, our founding fathers built the Electoral College to safeguard the American people from the dangers of a demagogue.
Slow piano.
And to ensure that the presidency only goes to someone who is to an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications.
The requisite qualifications. Martin Sheen, it was already established that President Trump enjoyed the requisite qualifications, and then he won the election. But these fascist, Nazi, Hollywood, lefty, what's the difference? They put together a video. They're calling for another insurrection, another revolution. The Hollywood people.
I'm not asking you to vote for Hillary Clinton.
As you know, the Constitution
too late anyway.
Gives the right to vote for any eligible person.
Any eligible person, no matter which party they belong to.
But it should certainly be someone you consider especially competent.
Especially competent to serve as president
like
of
Joe
the United
Biden.
States of America.
Like Kamala Harris. Like Barack Hussein Obama, especially qualified. Backbencher in the Senate for about 10 minutes. Harry Reid mocked him for sitting back there doing nothing, picking his nose, playing on his phone, doing nothing. The Democrats, they're calling for the Electoral College to not play the role of the Electoral College, but to overthrow the government.
By voting your conscience, you and other brave Republican electors can give the House of Representatives the option to select a qualified candidate for the presidency.
I stand with you.
I stand with you.
Who cares?
I stand with you.
They're being as subversive as they can be, calling for the overthrow of the U.S. government, a bunch of Hollywood people. And Martin Sheen, he was in a good movie when he was like 20. What was that? The Incident. I think he was in The Incident. That was pretty good. He played a Kennedy once or twice because, they're all Democrats. And in the movies that Martin Sheen played a Kennedy, the Kennedys were the biggest heroes you ever saw. Biggest heroes. Isn't that amazing? Your Democrat Party. Look, and the actors in 2016 calling to overthrow the government by way of the Electoral College, corrupting our entire system, going after a key node in our government like the communists would do if they had invaded militarily the United States of America. Isn't that amazing? And they're out there violently attacking federal ICE agents for enforcing the laws passed by Congress. And they're playing a game with Jeffrey Epstein. You look at all the people in bed with the political figures in bed with Jeffrey Epstein. Democrat, 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 Democrat. I mean, we're talking about Bill Clinton and Lawrence Summers from the Clinton White House and the Obama White House and the president of Harvard University. And we're talking about their non-voting delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands who, and then Jamie Raskin, the Democrat in Maryland, saying, well, sure, he was one of her constituents because he owned Pedophile Island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Therefore, naturally, she's going to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein and collect money from him and hang out at his house and all that. The Democrat Party is shooting to be more corrupt, and at that, they're succeeding. I think they're succeeding at that. That's amazing. And, there are military people out there listening right now who are shaking their heads saying, well, wait a minute. Yeah, you took an oath to protect and defend, support and defend the laws and the Constitution of the United States. And then these Democrats are asking our military to violate the laws and the Constitution, to disobey the laws and the Constitution, and to effectively overthrow the United States of America. And these are Democrat senators, U.S. senators, and U.S. members of the U.S. House of Representatives, and, of course, Stacey Plaskett, who's a non-voting delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands. I have a non-voting delegate representing me in the District of Columbia, and that's my choice. I choose to live here. I could move about 2 miles, and everything would be different. But never mind that. All right, Michael, let's go to the telephones once again. Let's go to David calling from Woodbridge, Virginia. David, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, good morning. How are you?
Very well, David. Very well. Thank you.
A couple things real quick, not to take too much of your time. Number one, they're asking the troops, like you said, they already know that they don't have an obligation to obey an unlawful order, but they're actually asking them to violate Articles 90, 91, 92, and 94. 94 being mutiny and sedition, which pretty much is setting them up for failure, number one. Number two, if any of these members are receiving any sort of annuity or retirement from the Department of War or the military or VA benefits, they should be stopped immediately for what they're trying to do. And the next thing aside on a separate topic, that representative from the Virgin Islands, I don't think the whole story has come out, but it's possible that she was texting pictures of some of her nieces to Epstein to see if she could cut a deal and make some money.
Pick up some cash, little cash on the side, Hey, I see you got some... Yeah, but hey, look at my nieces and nephews, the girls at the school, the local school. Yeah, it's true. These people are very, very corrupt people. I don't want to say they couldn't be more corrupt because then they'll prove me wrong by becoming even more corrupt. But David, you make a very important point, and I was texting with a friend of mine this morning, a career military officer this morning. You said that, and it's true. I think I might even mentioned it in passing a little while ago. If you are an active duty member of the military, you know that you don't follow illegal orders. It's one of the first things you learn when you go into the military, right, David?
Yes, sir.
And you protect and defend the law, the Constitution, and the commander-in-chief is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces. That's why we call him that. And you cited at what, Articles 90, 91, 92, and 94, that they're all being called upon to disobey by Mark Kelly and the others, right?
Correct. And it's the Constitution, foreign and domestic. Clearly, they're getting a message from the domestic enemies of the Constitution.
Very good. Very good. You are a veteran or you're current yourself?
Retired.
Retired. Very good. Saluting you, David. Yeah, that's right. The Democrats are calling for very illegal things, and for Mark Kelly, a career naval officer, retired as a captain, which is the equivalent of colonel in the other services, kind of a big deal. And now he's a U.S. senator, kind of a big deal. And he's out there calling for law-breaking, for a rebellion against the commander-in-chief of the U.S. Armed Forces, the President of the United States. They should really be... I think the military should go up to Capitol Hill in strength and arrest these people, take them away, maybe Gitmo. I think Gitmo, that's a military base. That's good stuff. David, thank you, my friend. All right, and who was it? I think it was Kelly who said that Senator Kelly, who said that Trump is pitting the U.S. military against U.S. citizens, which is an idiotic falsehood, a lie. Illegal aliens are not U.S. citizens, and he's just a fraud.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Lie. Three of them lied on that one. They got together to coordinate a fatuous lie on that one. Let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Tim, calling from the great state of Florida. Timothy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, sir. Nice to speak to you again. I used to live in Clifton, Virginia, but as you mentioned, I moved to the free state of Florida.
Congratulations.
Quite possibly, thank you, sir. Quite possibly the most disturbing thing that I ever saw in my life this morning was that video when I woke up and did my normal news search. I was absolutely stunned and shocked at what I saw, and in fact, I was a little shaky.
Yeah.
I was very blessed to be born in this country. I was blessed to have a grandfather who served in World War I. Both of my parents served in World War II. Mm-hmm. My brother served 36 years in the Air Force and bears the marks of that to this day. I was fortunate enough to serve in the United States Army, who transformed me from a young punk into a man in 1980 and 83. I sat and served in the Czechoslovakian border. I often looked over that border in astonishment of how fortunate I was to be born in this great country. And as you mentioned, I did take an oath as a young man. I took an oath to defend this nation from both domestic and foreign. And as far as I'm concerned, there was no expiration date on the oath that I took, sir. And I will tell you, without a doubt, I do think the threat to the Constitution is coming from the left today, and in particular, the disgraced people that made that video for all of our enemies of the world to see as well, by the way. That was a direct threat to our military. That was a direct threat of prosecution to them based on what they determined to be lawful orders or not. The threat from our Constitution is domestic. It's rising today. And when I took that oath many years ago,
you are very, very well spoken.